like to ask for money from the CDIT for the purchase of backhoe. We've been talking about this for a while now, and the commissioners agreed yesterday to use CDIT funds to. I've given several different options as far as different backhoes from a 92, a 97, a 2001, you know, through new and leases, and we've talked about a lot of different options. Kind of narrowed that down to 2 pieces of equipment, a 1997 Caterpillar that McAllister has, and a 2001 case that I believe Southeastern has. I talked with their representative yesterday, and he said he would confirm that, but I checked this morning and hadn't heard from him. But Kim, do you have a 2001 case from Southeastern?
Yeah, the 37.5.
There's 2 of them. There's a 580
I got a 39,000 one.
and a 37.5.
Does that 39,000?
Yeah,
Does it show 1,800 hours? Does it have that?
The 39,000?
The one for 39, yeah. I mean, that's low hours.
1801.
1801, yeah. And that's the one that, you know, I talked with my field man. What he said is that the case has got a little better digging power, but the Cat has a little better tractor. And so with that 2001 being that low of hours, you know, we would like to acquire that piece of equipment, you know, after we test it. You know, it was Mr. Algebright with the Redevelopment Commission's request that we, you know, see about a demo and, you know, test the hydraulics and look it over. So that's what we come to, I think, with the commissioners yesterday. The commissioners agreed to commit $35,000 towards this. Redevelopment had previously committed $6,000. So that's the request then, I guess.
I think that is exactly right. Our request was $35,000 and seated. But I think it's generally agreed, George, help me here, that we want to look at this on a 2-year plan. That in 2 years, if this really hasn't done what's hoped to be done, then we'll move out of the business, sell the backhoe and move out of the business. I mean, we think it is. We think it's a very worthwhile project. We think it's good, but we also don't want to do it in perpetually. We want to look at it 2 years from now. We want to look at the program, see how it's going. So.
Well, you can do that anytime. I mean, you can look at it 2 years from now and say we're not.
We can look at it in 1 year. I mean, we have
So
no problem.
that was our request was $35,000 from seeded.
Help me out here, Bill. I thought when we first started talking about this, that redevelopment was going to pay half of it.
No, redevelopment committed $6,000. Kind of trying to justify that as being that much of it is going to be used in the redevelopment. You can kind of justify that.
Why did you decide to pull it from your budget request and go the CETA route?
So I think so.
I never requested.
He never requested it in his budget.
Oh, it's not in your budget?
What you did ask for in your budget was
Oh, it's additional
$1,000.
labor and...
Fuel.
Yeah.
And maintenance, money for maintenance,
Okay.
equipment maintenance, and then if there's 2 budgets, one without a backhoe, one with a
Okay.
backhoe. With a backhoe is actually appropriations out of drainage funds also for labor, with reduced labor in the county general budget.
Motion for
is it gonna be before you're gonna want a truck and a trailer?
This is new, Kim. I can't say that. I mean,
But right now, you're planning on driving from one place to another, am I right?
that's the plan, is when we have a bunch of, or several repairs in similar, you know, in one township or similar areas that we road it. I mean, that,
And the highway department is giving you permission to house it there, am I correct?
well, it's
Go to Mike's
It's
house.
my
Yes.
understanding that they'll work with us to find a place to store it.
Motion for this request proceeded
I'll make the motion that we approve that $35,000 budget request so we can get on with this project. This thing.
Is there a second?
I'll second it for discussion purposes.
Motion made and seconded. Additional discussion.
You wanna put it in your motion, something about, this is not open, and we gotta look over it at the end of a year or 2 years or whatever, like the commissioners recommended.
Yeah, we can put that in there that we'll take a look at this 2 years from now and see if we want to.
Do you want him to report back like in 6 months of the cost savings or the difference? And how timely, quarterly?
Well, we'll just have to take a look at it at the end of a
Year,
period.
because in
See
winter
if
time,
it's been
they're
a
not,
success. And if it hasn't been, then
you gotta give it a year.
well, then the commissioner would have to end it.
So if this is purchased for 41 and we see in 2 years that it's not working out to the county's benefit, what, we auction it off?
Sell it somewhere.
I mean, we have to auction it off. We
Be
can't.
better to give it to the highway department, let them sell theirs.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, if that was the case, why would you do that? I mean, I would think you'd give it to the highway department.
That's better than the one they got.
The only problem I have about this thing, you know, you're getting these guys a backhoe that's got 1,800 hours on it, and they're gonna use it pretty seasonally, spring and the fall. And the county highway, it's got one that's got 7,000 or 8,000 hours on, they use 4 days a week. That's the only thing that really bothers me.
And I think the concern, and you would know better than me, I will yield to you, but I think the highway does not have four-wheel drive. And I think this unit needs four-wheel drive.
Well, I'm not, that's right, you're absolutely right.
Okay, that was, I guess, my thoughts why we didn't just take the county highway.
I don't know where you could add this to the motion or not, but at the end of 2 years, I don't know who's gonna make this judgment. The council doesn't think it's been a worthwhile project, we're gonna give that back over to the highway, end the program.
We can't.
That'd have to be commissioner.
I think I would just like to review it in 2 years, and we may have totally different thoughts.
Yeah, that's right.
So, just understand that we would like to look at this 2 years from now and see how the program's going. It may be the greatest thing since sliced bread, so.
George?
I
I
hope
guess
so.
sitting here, I've got one question is, the benefit is gonna go to the drainage board. The drainage board cannot, buy equipment, with their funds. But can the savings from the drainage pay for, the gas,
Well, I based this whole proposal on how Adams County does it.
Okay.
They've been doing it either 12 or 15 years, and so they've gone through the ropes with State Board of Accounts, and so that's why I, put the budgets and what would be or could be budgeted out of county general and what would be paid for out of drain funds. I based it on what they've done. They pay for labor and material out of the drain funds and fuel and maintenance out of county general.
Is there any way legally to get more of that out of the drainage fund? Because that's where the money savings is gonna be.
Well,
You don't think you'd take the fuel, for instance, out of drainage fund?
I don't know.
You know,
I
you're
mean-
theoretically hiring a contractor to do it at this point, and you're paying for the fuel there.
Well, sure. I'm just, that's the way Adams County does it. I asked them about, you know, how this is all worked with State Board of Accounts and, you know, did they have some did State Board of Accounts have questions about things? Yes. Did they get them ironed out? Yes. So,
You know, theoretically, the whole project ought to come out of the drainage funds.
Can you find that out?
But
Or
I
we're
don't
gonna be
think
working
it's
on budget.
legally you can do it.
Why don't you, if we buy the backhoe, you take all the operating expense out of our drainage fund, if we get a finger slap for it, then we'll correct it.
well,
You can probably
It's a
find
lot
it
easier to
out.
ask forgiveness and permission.
That's right.
I'm not for him doing something
sometimes
wrong.
that's the case. I don't like to live by that philosophy because people try and do that to me when dealing with drain issues and permits and things. So, I can certainly inquire, you know, with I don't know who, you know, whether is it Tammy White or George at State Board of Accounts, someone. I mean, Jenny can help me get to the right person, I think. We can certainly inquire about that.
Fuel is gonna be a relatively small cost.
We've got a motion and several amendments with it, with a second on it. Any additional discussion? Those in favor of that motion signify by your right hand.
Wait a minute, read that motion again.
With all the changes, we're gonna buy a backhoe for Brandon, we're gonna use it for 2 years, but we're gonna review it after the first year. And the labor and everything now is gonna be out of his option 2 of his budget that we're looking at later. Option 1 is to leave it the way it is, unless I have those flip-flop number-wise. I don't think so.
I don't know how you have
After
one or
the
two,
time
but-
of not being used, then the backhoe will go back to the highway at that time via the commissioners.
No, that's not in the motion at all. No, you're making up motions not there.
That
We're
was all
gonna review it in
discussed.
that was discussed, but we're gonna review it in 2 years.
Do you remember?
But I
1
think
year.
that something ought to be
Review.
clarified in that motion about
2 years.
paying the operating expenses.
Well, he's got that in his
Well,
budget
the dr-
request, doesn't he?
Everything except the purchase of the machine ought to
Yeah, we
come out of
can-
the drainage fund.
We can go into the budget ourselves and make sure that that's put in drainage budget.
Yeah.
But it would be good to have it in the motion as well,
Well, I
if Bill
don't know.
would so amend.
Yeah, I do have, in the budget option with the backhoe, I've reduced the salary for the drainage project supervisor. It's not the total equivalent of what's added for fuel and maintenance, but there's only about $2,000, not even $2,000 difference between the two budgets.
But we want it to all come out of drainage maintenance.
I understand.
Okay.
And I'll look into that. I mean, you're not approving the budgets today, correct? This isn't the final hearing on approving budgets. I mean, if you,
It's the way we're gonna have to advertise them, Brandon.
Yes.
That
Oh,
has to be done
Once we
today.
finish today, that's what's gonna be advertised.
oh,
Uh-huh.
okay, so you are, I'm sorry.
Advertise high and good.
That's what
We
we
can
do.
go high in both of them, but the
Well,
way
let's
we
just shoot
finish
it down.
today.
My motion is that all the operating expenses for that backhoe come out of the drainage fund.
Maybe add if legal.
Well, if it's not legal, somebody will tell us it's not.
Well, I want that in the motion or I'll vote against it, because I want it to be legal.
Oh, come on.
Any other discussion? Everybody clear on what the motion is?
It's reasonable.
All those in favor of the motion signify by your right hand. Those opposed, the same.
Okay. No backhoe.
Okay, that's all I needed to know.
At this point, we're gonna take a 10-minute break.
Are we done with that?